some little tweaking and tinkering I want to do. The first thing, of course, is you know, I'm the guy who likes to flip over the bike when he works on the tires, for example, or on the undercarriage, everything which you can better reach from the bottom. And as you can see, the display, it sticks out, so I want to mount it at a better point. I think I will go below the handlebar, that it can turn without hitting anything. If it tips over, that it doesn't touch, so it's most protected as it can be. The second thing I want to address is I still have the provisorium down here, as you can see. I used the bottle holder holes for one fixing point and mounting the aluminium bracket, and I put original 2 clamps here, and later I just want to width nut it, so I have 2 more support points, that it has like three points where it sticks. There was another thing I wanted to address. Yeah, at the back, the torsion bar, I have like a hose clamp for it, but I would like to go with a more elegant solution that it doesn't look so DIY. So I will think about that. At the moment I have just zip tied it. And of course I want to refit mudguards and lights, but that will like always be more option. So here is what I came up with the display. This is the original holder. Display screws here. So I cut our boomstick 8.5 centimeters. I will wrap that with this tube. I believe it was a 26-inch, but you can use any tube. And this is the mirror. I like the holder. The mirror itself, it's not that good quality. It's already like open, you can look through it. It's not a good mirror, but it's a good holder. So I think I unmount the mirror from the holder, fix the holder to the tube, fix this holder to that tube, and then fit the display to that holder. I hope that makes sense. So now I cut open this tube, wrap it around, and I have the tube repair kit, which comes with the glue, which is a vulcanizer, I believe, and I just wrap it around the broomstick end. So yeah, that's the plan. So when I built this bike, I didn't install the brake levers that come with the kit. Here's the reason for that. As you can see, I have a complex gear change brake combination. And even in the entry level of bikes, which this one is, it looks really not bad. So if you want to change to e-brakes, you get usually a kit which comes with your bicycle kit mostly. These are cut-off brakes, they come with a kit, and because you lose the gear lever, you need to buy aftermarket units which are separated from the brakes. This downside, usually these are very cheap built, but because who wants to have something like that on the bike? Normally you always would prefer a brake gear change combination. So putting this on the bike would make it look cheaper than it needs to be. So I went to BKK e-bike and they sold me this solution. I believe it is called a reed switch. I don't know, it's only the architecture or it's the function. In fact, this is a magnetic switch. So you have a magnet at one side and you have this magnetic switch at the other side. This connects to your controller and you're well off. And I think it's a very considerable solution, because if you think about it, how much you pay and invest in time for a worse look versus very simple installation, and I believe they are fairly cheap, cheaper than in fact if you would change all this. So we will go with that. I looked over here, even I have a very complex form on the top. If I go to the bottom, as you can see, it's fairly flat. And I want to try a test install first, just to see if I mount the switch in this area here, the magnet would lie under it, so I'm not sure if it works. So I first will try to make it just like provisory, and if it works, we can finalize the installation. If you don't install this switch, you will not be able to use the recuperation function of your controller. Secondly, it is possible that you give the motor a workout, and if you're pulling the brake lever at the same time, no, you don't want to have that, because sometimes the controller may burn out if you block the wheel and have the motor on full throttle. But anyway, it's a good idea to install it. So this is the solution I came up with. I mounted the double-sided tape on the flat surface from the brake lever, and I drilled a hole through the handle so that I could center the magnet underneath. As you can see, it works quite well. It's a little bit flexible, which is good. And if we go on the top, switch on the system, you will see when I engage the brake, there's the symbol for the brake. So it works perfectly. I adjusted the brake assist to 2, so it should do a little bit more braking. So I think it's a proof of concept. Now I go ahead at the other side, make the switch at the other side. Then I will route the cables to the controller, tidy up the controller. Yeah, and then the brake setup is finished. Ta-da! I believe it's done. We will check if I pull the brake lever. The brake light comes on, both sides. Perfect. And let's see, I will start it up. So I will give a throttle. I pull the brake. You can see the recuperation. I believe under load it's a little bit more as without load. Let's do it again. Yeah, it works both sides. Quite satisfied with it. And if we look under it, it's really barely noticeable. So I think this looks good. It's mounted, stable. Mounted the wires. Cleaned the wireless harness. I like this spiral cover. This was supplied with the kit. I think it really looks neat. At the moment it's not in the right position. When I later get the right tool, the battery pack will drop around 2 centimeters, I believe. Yeah, 1 centimeter for sure, 1.5 maybe, 2 maybe not. But this will give me enough space that I can put the cable under and still have enough space that I can remove the battery pack without always pushing the controller out of the way. So I really like that. Still a work in progress, but I guess we can check off another piece of the list. Really nice how it came out. Like it. The second thing we will change, which I still don't have the tool for yet, is the aluminium bracket, but that we keep for another time. Then the pedal assist sensor. Pedal assist sensor normally requires like a nut which goes and presses it in position, of course at the other side. Just choose this for better visibility. And I must say, okay, I like the idea of pedal assist, but let me tell you what I think about it. With this particular controller unit, the pedal assist settings have an influence on the throttle. That means if you go pedal assist 1, the throttle will not respond as well as you would go with pedal assist 5. At the other hand, I live in Bangkok and sometimes I'm in a tight spot on the street where maneuver is very sensitive. If you have a pedal assist, you not really know when the motor kicks in or if it's too much or not. So normally I would prefer just leave the throttle and don't install the pedal assist sensor, because it gives me the freedom, if I'm sneaking on traffic lights, that I can pedal and have the full control of the bike without even using the motor for bringing me out of the situations. I think that is other point of view of usage of a non-pedal assist system bike. But it's always up to you. Everybody has its own profile. The good thing is that you always can adjust to whatever profile you choose. That I like about the e-bikes. They are very versatile and you can really make it work like you want to work it. without investing a fortune. So I go ahead, figure out how I install it, and when I finish with the provisorium mount, I will check in and we see how it works. If it doesn't work, we will adjust. Another day in paradise. Yeah, I'm nearly finished with this bike. I want to address two things I want to change. The first one is I have the width nut tool. I got it, and width nuts. So I want to put two more mounts on top of the frame, just to make sure that the battery pack doesn't come loose over the time and is nicely and stable fixed. And I want to address the fixture, because at the moment, as you can see, I just put a zip tie, which is not really sufficient for this kind of application. So there is a hole, and I will drill through it, through the frame, and put a proper screw in it, a bolt with a nut, retainer and washer, and yeah, do a little thing here and there. So with a little bit luck, this project will be finished today. I will of course clean it up, and I believe from next week on, yeah, it will be up on the market. Very satisfied how it came up. My mount for the display works perfectly. I'm really satisfied with that. I believe it's one thing to mount the electric bike kit, but the other thing is taking care of all the little details which are not addressed with the kit itself. So yeah, it should be fun. So as you remember, I made this provisorium. For the time being, I didn't have the width nut tool, and now I can use it in the future for measuring the holes. So at first I've mounted the bracket to the bottom mount of the battery, put two screws in, and it's somehow hard to see, but I marked a hole in the middle, so I can disassemble, drill the hole for the first mount, then I can mount the bracket to the frame and mark the other holes through the holes here. It should be pretty precise. I put it in the middle, so I have a little adjustment, so it doesn't need to be on a millimeter, but it's always nice if you can ease your work. So I go ahead and unmount the base plate and drill a hole. Put the first mount in. As you can see, I test fitted it, because you have to make sure that you have enough clearance here, which is and here, that you can remove the battery, because if you drill into the frame, there is no way back. So better check twice, drill once. I think I like it. It's not too tight, not too wide. It goes in and out without a problem. Nice. I go ahead. So I marked the two holes. I tried to punch them. Oh, please focus my camera. Oh no, I don't want to focus. Okay, so I used a punch to make a little indent so the drill will proper find his center. I couldn't hammer it all because, as you can see, the place is very restricted, which brings us to a very neat tool. So this is my drilling machine, and I bought this head. As you can see, it can rotate freely, and it will allow me to drill in a very restricted place. So I use a small drill first for making a pilot hole, and then I will go with the bigger drill for preparing the nut. So I go ahead, drill the 2 holes. So I finished drilling the holes. I deburr them a little bit. Now comes the fancy tool. There are essentially different inserts for the different sizes. So effectively you screw them in like that. They go counterclockwise so that you can release later. Then this one goes on top. Then there comes the nut. Nut is goes in like that, and because I don't want that they come loose, I usually put some super glue on the flange so I can be sure that it will be a little bit more tight, not tight, has a little bit more, what you call it, you have the possibility that it will not twist when you screw in the screw, because otherwise you will be in trouble, because then you have to remove that all, and this is a pain in the butt. So I go ahead, apply some super glue, and then I insert the nut into the holes. So I put the nut in, and I super glued 2 washers on top, because as you can see the other mounting points are elevated, so you need to account for that, because otherwise the battery base will not be parallel and it will be very difficult to get the battery pack in and out. So I hope this will do the trick. As you can see, here are my 2 mounting points. So I have the liberty of 4 mounting points for the battery pack, which should be plenty enough. Normally 3 would be enough, but if you have 4, hey, why not use them? So now I can mount the battery pack and check how it works all together. So that's the next point I want to fix. See the torsion bar, I just zip tied it in the first place. So now I will look for a nice spot, and then I will drill a hole through that one and just mount it properly so the torsion bar can't come off